Do it. Do it.
Let's do it.
Do it. Do it. Do it. My sweetie, do it.
Okay.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Let's do it.
Do it. Do it. Do it. My sweetie, do it.
Okay.
Do it. Do
Welcome to NBNR, the authority on unfiltered opinions and authentic player insight for Nebraska athletics. Connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, and at NBNRPodcast.com.
We have the saying, no block, no rock.
You know, we just really love Utter. He's a junkyard dog.
Kenny Bell ran up to me. He's like, you know what you just did?
You get mad when you gonna get in the portal and go to another podcast?
You know, usually dumbbells are in pairs. They had 5 dumbbells.
Dang on it, Muhammad!
GBR.
Go big red indeed. No block, no rock. Coming at you. Season 4, episode
50.
Oh, here we hey.
Oh, look at that.
Hey, you know, hold on. Before you put him in, I just want to tell the people out there at the bottom of the screen, we are fueled by Nebraska Brewing Company. We're not going to get into all that because we do have Adam to the stage, if you would. There he is.
Wow.
Can you hear us?
How's it going? Yeah. How do I sound?
You sound
great. Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Sorry for the delay, fellas. I know it's been a heck of a time trying to get on here, but I'm glad I made it.
Hey, we're glad you took the time. You definitely did not have to do what you just did, especially coming off of a plane, going straight to a hotel and getting on an interview with us. That is just amazing, and we appreciate it.
Would not recommend the Newark airport. I'll tell you that. The place is nuts.
It sounds terrible, horrible.
Can you tell the listeners why you're in New York right now?
Newark.
Yeah, so
Newark.
I'm here working out for the Jets. Got a call maybe Wednesday saying, hey, we want to fly you out Thursday, work you out Friday, and see what happens. I mean, it's kind of the life I'm living right now. So, yep.
Yeah, we had planned to get you in studio, and then we learned that you get this call. And while we would have loved to have you in the room with us, we always prefer that. We learned about this workout that you're having, and we're like, okay, we forgive you. That's a pretty good reason to not be in here with us. So, how did that go
Fair
for
enough,
you?
right? Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
So he works out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is what he was saying. So I would imagine, you know, after this whole your incredible season in the UFL, I can't imagine this is your first call. Like, what has that been like? Transitioning.
It's been interesting. You know, the NFL, it's serious business, you know, as you can imagine. And, you know, there's no guarantees, you know, just because there's a great year, you know, played well in the UFL. I think my stock definitely went up. Those are the things I've heard from my agents and from teams, but maybe it wasn't as fast as I had expected, at least right after the season. There's a bit of a lull there. Teams going on vacation, their only time off. You know, they're not going to say, okay, I'm not going to go take my one vacation of the year with my family because Adrian played great in the UFL and we got to work him out to be one of our backup quarterbacks. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. But I did work out in Seattle earlier this week. Felt like it went great. Beautiful city out there. And now I'm here in New Jersey, getting ready to work out for the Jets. And these things just happen. And then obviously sometimes you can get signed right away. Sometimes it's like, all right, you're number one on our list. Like if Geno goes down, maybe Seattle will give me a call and I'll be the next guy they bring to that quarterback room. But that's kind of the situation. There's 96 spots. Every team usually carries 3 guys, and sometimes that second or third guy's been there for 10 to 15 years. So it could be tough breaking in. But it's my dream. I'm gonna keep chasing it, and I think I've given myself a good chance. So we'll see what happens.
At the risk of sounding greedy, which team would you prefer to play for?
Oh, Lord, that's way too greedy. I'll play. Yeah, look, if they had a team in Russia, I'd go to Russia and go play for the NFL team in Russia. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter to me. I'm just really working for that opportunity, and ideally it'd be a warm weather state. I think that's probably the most I can ask for.
So you don't want to be a Colt. That breaks my heart.
He said it
Well,
was
Colts are indoor, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, they have a retractable roof.
Yeah, so that's the perfect temperature. It's 72 and sunny in all domes across America. So I'll play there.
Keep you warm.
So you said that you'd prefer to play in a warm weather climate. Is that due
There you go.
to your experience at Nebraska?
And K-State. It ain't warm in
K-State too.
Kansas either.
That's true.
Same thing.
Did those experiences lead you down this? All right, let's cut the bullshit out. Let's play for a warm team, please.
I've been there, done that. I've played in, the wind tunnel. I've played in the snow. I've played in all types of cold types of weather. That's Big Ten. That's Big Ten football. And I can do it. I could definitely do it. But if I have a preference, why not? Why not go play in Miami,
So I guess I have to ask along the same lines. You have a fantastic season in Birmingham. The weather's got to be at least a little bit better in Birmingham than it was here in Lincoln, Nebraska, or at K-State. Is that part of that? Was it getting used to that, warmer weather?
I don't know. I'd say it honestly helped that we were playing in the springtime, because anywhere we played, it was relatively nice, if you will. Our games were March through June. So it was pretty nice. And all the places we were playing, we played in Houston. We did play in Detroit, but that was in a dome. And so, yeah, I mean, as a quarterback, you love those things. Obviously, that's not football all the time. But funny enough, every team in the UFL lived in Arlington, Texas. So
yeah,
we got to practice, my team at least got to practice in Choctaw Stadium, which is the old Texas Rangers Stadium. And we practiced right smack in the middle of the day. So it was noon in the middle of Texas. And so we kind of got used to the heat. That was part of it. And towards the end of the season, it started feeling like fall camp. I mean, it's summertime in Texas, practicing at noon, and we're just sweating like crazy out there at the end of a 12-week season. But then we go to Birmingham, and it's the same weather. It's like we were prepared for it. So honestly, I'm from California. It's always been easier for me, at least in my mind. Like, I'd rather be just so hot out there, I'm sweating like crazy, than, man, I can't feel my fingers. You know what I mean? Like, I got to throw the football. It's easier to throw a football when it's a little hot out.
So I guess if you want to start at the beginning, we get this guy named Scott Frost hired as our head coach, and it's reported that, he coaches in the bowl game, and we learn that you are the first person that he goes to see. You are like the hill that he goes to die on. And he's going to see you before he even steps foot in the state of Nebraska, basically. I guess just looking back, now that some time has passed and you had that great experience at K-State and you became the UFL MVP and you won the championship, just looking back at your Husker career, how do you see your own legacy and your own reputation?
Yeah, that's tough, because I think those are almost two separate things in a way. I think I have a solid reputation in terms of how I conducted myself. And I think the Nebraska faithful, the football fans of the country know that I gave everything I had to Nebraska and to win football games and to to play at my very best. I don't think that was ever doubted. And I think even with some time, there's maybe a greater appreciation there. In terms of legacy, I think I'm still building it, and I see it as, for me at least, it's a football journey. It's a football legacy. And I don't look at it as just Nebraska. I look at it as, Clovis West when I was in high school, K-State, the UFL, and now what I'm doing now. And that's honestly, for me, that's selfish for me to think of it that way, because if I look at just Nebraska, I mean, frankly, I get a little bit disappointed in what we accomplished there, because we didn't accomplish shit, when I was there. And that was the whole goal going into that place. And when Frost came and recruited me and all of it, it was, hey, we want to bring this place back. And I mean, that was my mission and my mindset, along with a lot of my teammates throughout my entire time there. And so we weren't able to do it. We weren't. I think it'll happen, but we weren't able to do it. And it kind of stinks to look back at it that way. But I try not to look at it that way, if that makes sense. There were a lot of good moments, a lot of things I obviously love about the place because I want to live there. I love Nebraska. I claim Nebraska. So that's all part of it. That's me kind of rambling about it, but that's how I see it.
I think like on a personal level, and then like as a fan, like you think about Adrian Martinez, 2 a.m., right? The legacy of Adrian Martinez at Nebraska. And in the moment when you haven't been to a bowl game in a while and things didn't quite seem to go the way that we wanted them to, you obviously take a lot of the blame as a quarterback. And naturally, right? And now, like looking back on it on like a legacy lens, it's like there was nobody that went to bat more for Nebraska and really took a lot of the blame, like humbly, than Adrian Martinez. So I think just as far as like your legacy here at Nebraska, and we've got people in the chat here that are like 2 a.m. Husker Nation loves you. Like all these people that are in here, I think your legacy at Nebraska really is, it sits on like you were just the dog. Like you, like you said, you gave everything you had to Nebraska. And that's kind of how we see it as fans.
Yeah. So it's funny. And Adrian, I don't know if you've heard our show before or know anything about us, but we have collectively had the mindset that we don't tolerate any slander surrounding you because you're a warrior.
I appreciate that.
So you just said that, you look back on your tenure at Nebraska and you said, in your words, we didn't accomplish shit. I never thought that I would have to defend Adrian Martinez to Adrian Martinez. I think I think you're wrong. I think you developed this warrior mindset. I think it has helped this team move forward because, I mean, you were playing with your jaw wired shut.
Yeah.
Like that is the most absurd shit I've ever heard.
That should be illegal.
Maybe it should have been. Yeah.
That is one of the most absurd things I've ever heard. I never thought I would have to defend Adrian Martinez to himself. What you did, I mean, let's not talk about record. Let's talk about what you did for the program. You moved this program forward so much just by being a guy that never gave up. And we see that not only with what you did in the UFL and where you're working now, getting to the NFL. We've seen it in your radio shows. We've seen it in everything you've ever done. I think you are the epitome of a Husker.
Man, that means a lot. That means a lot. I might need to get a recording of that little segment right there and just keep it on my phone. Look back to it every couple of weeks. No, genuinely, thank you. I mean, everyone, I mean, you guys know how much it means to me, so I appreciate that,
There's some players that come and go, and we ask ourselves that, that old adage, once a Husker, always a Husker. And there's some players that you're like, well, I don't know about that guy so much. Yeah. But I mean, it's you are definitely, you fall into that camp. So, we thank you for, putting up with our crap, or we can get a little emotional sometimes, that. And you being quarterback, you're well aware of the scrutiny that comes with being a quarterback. Are we okay over there? Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that at all. Can you hear?
Yeah, sorry. No, I was trying.
We got some technical difficulties.
Yeah, we have a camera down really quick, but we're good to go.
but we're still good. Well, first, I mean, I appreciate the love, and yeah, I mean, I like to consider myself always a Husker, so that's good to hear. That's good to hear. You know what I mean? I'm excited where this thing can go, you know, and I try and stay involved in a way that's respectful, you know, watch from a distance. Don't want to be the guy, the former player that's crazy active on Twitter about what's going on. So I'm just trying to be the right amount.
we have plenty of ex-Huskers that have done that.
Yeah.
And there's some that were like, I like that you said that because you're at least giving people a chance. And then there's other Huskers out there who played in the glory days and they just want it one damn way. And God forbid we don't win a natty one year and then it's, just burn the place.
Look, fellas, it's a different game now.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
And it's ironic too, because, and I don't want to get into a whole thing about the new landscape of college football, but you can lose 3 or 4 games now and you'll probably be okay with the
in the Big Ten, especially. Yeah, the Big Ten, especially, which is interesting. I'm really excited to see how this college football playoff will play out. I am. It's a lot of games in the season, but I'm excited. It gives some other teams a chance, and it'll be interesting. You know, in my experience, you know, when I was in college, honestly, there was a difference between those top 3-4 teams and the rest, because we had an opportunity to play the 12th ranked team in the country and the 2nd ranked team in the country, and they felt like different games.
Yeah.
You know? But over the course of a super long season, I mean, a couple injuries can really change a team. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and you mentioned those top teams that you played that you said it felt differently, and I would assume you're talking about probably at Ohio State and Michigan at home. And if you look back, those are 2 games where you're like, damn, this close. Seriously.
Yeah. Funny enough, when I was in Seattle, I was talking with a scout who was working for Michigan, because now the Seattle Seahawks, their head coach, was the defensive coordinator for that game in 2021. So anyways, he was there with him, and he was telling me how we were a really good team and they were really worried about playing us and that how they should have lost that game. I said, well, thanks, man.
Damn it.
We still lost.
At the end of the day.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and you guys ended up having a great year, so congrats on that. But yeah, thanks for that.
What are you supposed to say, I mean, going back to that game, do you think they should have blown that whistle a little bit sooner?
Oh, I mean, of course I do, but it's just not what happened.
Right, that's not what happened.
It happened, and it's the game of football sometimes. Game of football, but obviously, from my perspective, I would have loved to see that whistle a little.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Wouldn't we all? Let's talk a little bit about your journey. So after you left Nebraska, what was that like? You ended up at Kansas State. What was that process? Was it just Cade Warner saying, "Adrian, come play with me," or was there interest from other schools, and how did that process play out that ended you up in Manhattan?
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. Very torn about leaving Nebraska. Just felt like it was the right thing for me at that time, and honestly, I still feel like that was the right decision to leave and continue pursuing this dream of making it to the NFL. And I thought that was the necessary step for it. It was tough, but put my name in the portal without knowing. I had no idea, what the interest level would be, who would be calling. And one of the first calls I got was from K-State. And obviously Coach Klein, he's now the Texas A&M offensive coordinator. Coach Kleiman, the head coach there, still there. Just a great group of coaches, great culture. And I felt like everyone had a chip on their shoulder. And that's like my mentality. I felt like I fit in there. I got some calls, funny enough, like the day I was committing, LSU calls and was like, we want you. We want to get you here. We want you to come in, play right away. And Ole Miss followed right after him. And I was like, well, these are some, big schools, but I've done that. You know what I mean? That's not, this is for 1 year, a team that I feel like, man, we got some talent. There's the cultures there, the coaches are there, and this is going to allow me an opportunity to get to that next level. It wasn't about NIL dollars. It wasn't about any of that, because K-State, I mean, at the time, it wasn't comparable to Nebraska, so it wasn't about the money. It was strictly about, how will I play with this team? How can I fit with this team? And obviously, how can it help me get to the next level? And we ended up having a great year. We ended up winning the Big 12 title and, kind of getting things kicked off right over there at K-State.
So going to K-State, you're down in Manhattan, you've played in Lincoln. What was the adjustment for like the atmosphere? I mean, obviously you'd played in Memorial numerous times. What was that kind of adjustment like as you adjust to K-State?
Well, one of the first things that struck me, obviously there's a lot of red in Lincoln. There's a lot of red in the building. You get used to wearing the N and all those different types of things. And then I get to Manhattan and I'm officially signed with K-State, and there's just purple everywhere. And I'm like, man, my eyes, it just felt weird wearing a different logo. Seeing
adjust your eyes.
And so that kind of followed over into the first home game. We played South Dakota at home, and I run into the stadium, and it's like, man, this is such a trip to me. Like, this is home. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't red. It wasn't Memorial. It was, Manhattan, Kansas. It was K-State. And so that adjustment period was different. But I do think the environment's amazing. I would say on average in the Big 12, the environment is not comparable to Big 10 stadiums, Big 10 environments. Oklahoma was a sweet spot. And then really outside of that, I wouldn't say there was like a spot that's on the same level as Michigan State, as Wisconsin, or Iowa. I don't think there's even out of all those schools, there's one that can match that.
So out of the Big 12, what stadium comes the closest to a Big 10 atmosphere?
I wish I played at Texas. We didn't. We played them in Manhattan, a night game. That was fun. Oklahoma is the one. Out of the remaining Big 12 schools,
yeah.
I mean,
a little tough, huh?
I don't, I'm not trying to do them a disservice, but I almost don't even want to put one in that category. Like, I feel like I can't.
Interesting.
I really feel like I can't. When we played at West Virginia, it was a cold morning game, and they weren't very good that year. And I feel like that place is supposed to be loud. Oklahoma State, we played at home, so I didn't go to Oklahoma State, because those are some of the other ones you hear about, but very dependent on how good's the team. Shoot, I remember going to West Lafayette, and they had it packed, and they weren't very good that year, and we weren't very good that year, and it was packed at a morning game, in West Lafayette. So I do believe the atmospheres are a little bit better, a little bit different.
Yeah, only being at K-State for 1 year kind of limits your opportunities to go to Texas. And every time we say Texas, we do the horns down. I don't know if you're about the horns down. Where do you stand?
I mean, why not? You know what I mean? Like, I don't like them. I'm not going to sit here and think, I don't like those guys.
That's getting clipped.
So if you know anything about me, Adrian, which you don't, but you're about to learn, I'm a huge Chris Kleiman guy. Before Rule got hired, and I love Rule so far, I was banging the Chris Kleiman drum. And when I hear that you go there, I'm like, fuck yes. Because honestly, he has such a, and you can honestly speak to this better than me. From a Nebraska fan, just a classy dude, hard-nosed guy, develops players. Just if you could get into, I guess, the differences between a Chris Kleiman-led K-State versus a Scott Frost-led Nebraska program, like, were there any significant differences? Was there stuff that K-State did better that Nebraska didn't, and vice versa?
Yeah, I'll definitely speak to what makes Coach Kleiman great. And I believe it is his organization, his leadership, and his communication. Those are all things he did a great job of. I think everybody on that team, whether they were the third string running back or me, knew where they stood. and they heard it from the head man. They heard it from Kleiman. He let them know, and he let them know why and what they needed to do. And sometimes even what you need to do, that might not be enough, but you knew that. The culture was rock solid. And I think part of that is K-State. It's almost built into that place naturally. Like you have to have a chip on your shoulder. They're not usually getting the 5-star guys, usually not even the 4-star guys. They're starting to now. They're really on a roll, but it's not really the case. I remember when I was there, they put up this graphic and they had the whole Big 12 and they showed the recruiting ratings, right? How many 4 stars, how many 5 stars, 3 stars, whatever. K-State had the worst grade. I think maybe KU might have been right below them. And we won the Big 12 that year, and that happened through development, through kind of this collective mindset of we are going to get this done. And we had guys. We had Deuce Vaughn. Juju got drafted in the 2nd round at DBs on the Colts now. Had several guys go to the NFL. But everyone there felt like, man, I'm getting overlooked. Man, and it was built. That type of mindset was just built through Coach Kleiman, through Coach Trumaine Carroll. He's the strength coach, and just enforced on a daily basis. I think we did something a little unique too in practice. I know some other teams do this. It's called inside run period. So every day for, different periods of practice, we had one period dedicated to just running the ball. And that was part of offensive philosophy. That was a bit different than what we did at Nebraska. And we'd have RPOs in this period too. And I'll never forget, first day we run this period, Coach Riles, our offensive line coach, walks up to me. I don't know. Can you cuss on this podcast?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
you've been doing it all day.
He's like, don't you fucking dare pull this ball. Ever. Never in this period. I said, okay. I mean, sounds good, coach. Sounds good. handoff, inside zone, guard pull, guarded tackle pull, center pull. 24 plays of just running the football. And we did it every day. And that was just a couple things. One, obviously, that's part of the identity. You want to be good at running the ball. And 2, it's like a toughness thing. It's kind of old school. And that was really just enforced in a lot of ways at K-State that I could appreciate and I think made us a good football team. And Coach Kleiman, he's a special cat, special coach. And I think, K-State's very fortunate to have him.
Just when I thought I couldn't like Chris Kleiman more.
Oh, yeah.
Did you say 24 straight?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
24 plays.
Oh,
24 play.
Oh, what are you trying to do to me here?
In a similar vein, I think there were a lot of questions while you were at Nebraska about like you were running the ball a lot, and it felt like a lot of that offense kind of fell on you to make things happen. When you were running the ball all the time, or you were having to run the ball all the time, however you want to frame it, was that ever something that you looked at as, maybe I don't want to be doing this? Or was it every down was I'm here to, do my job and this is what I'm here to do?
More of the latter. And part of that comes with, experience. I think as I was growing older, I started to see what other teams were doing, other offenses could do. But while I was at Nebraska, it was all about what does it take to win? And if this is what the best version of our offense is, and that's me running the ball on this design run or this way, then I'm going to do it. I was never going to go into coach's office and be like, I want you to run me less. That was just never.
That's super fair.
Yeah.
That was just never what I was going to do. But at K-State, I think I got hurt about midway, maybe a little bit past midway through that year. And I think I had more rushing yards on fewer attempts there than I ever did in any season at Nebraska. And it was because of some design runs, but we had a really good running game with our running back. I've been pretty vocal about it in the past, but I believe the running game, it has to be from the running back. The quarterback should be a complement to it, another weapon, another tool. And then what I've also grown into, like even this past UFL season, I'm going to scramble at least 4 or 5 times a game and probably pick up some yards in that too. So,
and like 2 touchdowns.
3. Well, I appreciate it. Like 3 to 5 design runs and 4 to 5 scrambles. It's like 10 to 12 carries a game, but they're not 10 to 12, like, man, I got to grind out this third and short and get the first down.
When they know you're going to carry it.
They feel different. They feel different for me when I'm going into week 10, and those are the things that kind of evolved and became a better version at K-State and at the UFL that I wish we would have done at Nebraska, honestly.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why we do look back at your career and we realize that you were the QB one and the running back, and things were disproportionately on your shoulders. And, you get on the goal line once. I'm not going to name names. You get on the goal line once at Minnesota, and the one time you do give it to a damn running back, he does a front flip before he reaches the goal line. Well, yeah, sorry, Adrian. He does the
Oh my gosh.
Gotta be you.
That was like blacked out in my head, and you just brought it back. I was going to forget that forever. You just brought it back.
I think about it every night.
That's insane.
It is insane. I know. I'm not crazy.
So I kind of like, Adrian, that and it's probably just because the number wasn't available, but I kind of like when you went to Kansas State, it was almost like a rebrand for you. You went from 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. And to me, I feel like the 9 a.m. version of Adrian Martinez is the best one and probably the best yet to come. Because even in the UFL, you wore 9 and it just feels like you're just like a whole different guy. I feel like you probably should never wear 2 again. Am I crazy?
Because don't you think 2 a.m. sounds better than 9 a.m.? I mean,
Well,
maybe that's just me.
No, here's how you brand it. You were 2 a.m. Now you're 9 a.m. because you woke up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Nobody said that to me yet. And I like that. So,
It's 9 a.m. because you woke up.
At 2 a.m.
League's on notice.
Oh, man. I don't mean us to be disrespectful, but just to go further with that, it's like 2 a.m. You're supposed to be asleep. 9 a.m. you wake up. I like that.
9 a.m. He woke up.
No, yeah, I'm not to say you were asleep at Nebraska. I'm just saying.
It's fine. It's fine. I like it. I do. And that's, it's kind of fair. It worked out. That was what everyone was saying too. Because I was like, man, I wanted to be number 2, but I'll take number 9. And they're all hyping me up. And then Cade Warner, my buddy who played in Nebraska and is at K-State, he tweeted it out. I think he was the first one to get K-State fans to start saying 9 a.m. And we just took off from there. And then, I guess I got to stick with it now. If I can get on one of these NFL teams, I'll probably do another number, though. I'll probably another rebrand. So we'll see.
All right. So, we don't know what team yet. We don't know. If you got, choice of any number, what are you picking?
I think you just convinced me not to do 2.
What if an NFL team was like, you are going to be on our team, but you have to wear 2. You have to.
Then he'd wear it. He said he'd go play in Russia. This guy's a dog.
Gulag.
They say you got to wear number 71. I'm putting that thing on my back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's not about the number. But if I had to pick, I think 9 or 12 would be great. I wore 12 in high school, and that's like a classic quarterback number, so can't go wrong.
I hate to make this a kind of a K-State podcast. I don't want it to be that, but I'll just say watching you play in Norman, you guys pull out that win against top 10 Oklahoma, and it was just damn, I kind of wish we would have seen that level of play as a Nebraska team, right? Yeah. And then you of course have the victory cigar after the Big 12 championship game. And I just remember thinking, God, that should have been us, man. Should have been us. You know what I mean?
What could have been? I wish.
Victory cigar.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It was great. It was great. Got to play in AT&T, win the Big 12 championship. It was fun. And that Oklahoma game, really, it was a culmination of a lot. And it was a big moment for me and probably my favorite so far in my career. We had just lost to Tulane the week before. And at the time, that Tulane loss at home was bad. I was like, man, how could we lose to these guys? And we were better than these guys, and we lost. It just felt like a slap in the face. The offense scored 10 points. Bad all around. They ended up going on and beating USC in the Cotton Bowl and being a pretty damn good team.
Right.
So that felt better later in the year, but at that moment, it was really bad. And then we go into Oklahoma at night. They're ranked 6th or 5th in the country. And I'll never forget, Coach Kleiman comes up to me. He said, let it fucking rip. Let it rip. I said, all right. Let's do it. And that's what we did. That's what we did all night, and kind of catapulted our season from there. And it was special. So, and my family just happened to be there, got to be there for that game. So got to share with my dad and parents and stuff. So very cool moment for me.
Yeah. Just watching that, I'm like, there it is. Like that's Adrian's, like, as much as we loved you here, it's like, this is your moment. This is Adrian Martinez's night of his career. But like, let's turn the page to Nebraska, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah,
please. Yeah. This is a Nebraska podcast.
Yes.
As much as
please.
please.
So, as you are well aware, we are going to have a true freshman starter. You are pretty, you can be relating to Dylan Raiola because you've been through this. I guess I'll just ask you, what is Dylan Raiola in for? Being a true freshman quarterback at Nebraska.
There's so many things that you can't really explain or coach. You just have to experience them. And for him, that's what he's in for. I think whatever you thought it was coming in, it's that and a lot more. And that's in terms of responsibility, in terms of competition, in terms of fans, everything. It's more. But I think everything I've heard and seen, he's more than equipped to handle it. I'm excited. I think it'll be an interesting challenge, but if you care about it and you're willing to stick through it, through adversity, and not have to be loved and not have to be liked all the time, because that'll happen. There'll be tough times, even on the damn 10-0 Nebraska teams that lost one game. They weren't liked, like it's coming. Yeah. It's coming. It's a circle. You know what I mean? There's cycles in this. Go do it for the people around you. And I think he's got his head on his shoulders, and he'll do that. So the rest of it will come. And, I think, like I said, he's got great people in his corner, guys who have been through it. His own family has been through it. So he'll be good.
Yeah. So, I do want to ask too, like this past weekend, I work for Hurrdat Sports, and I was just covering the Brandon Kinney and Prince Amukamara like youth camp in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
And Dylan was out there the whole like 2.5 hours throwing footballs to kids and like doing all this stuff. And like looking back at you and Scott Frost coming in at the same time, you guys are like the saviors, right? Like they're going to get us back on track. They're going to bring us back, all this other stuff. And like, I just want to know, because now here we are with a 5-star true freshman quarterback that is assumably QB1. What is the pressure like? Just as like an 18, 19-year-old kid, and now you're being asked to go to youth camps, be like the face of the program. And not only are you doing that stuff for the younger generation and the fans themselves, but then you've also got this like notion that, oh, me and this coach are now coming back to build up this iconic program that once was the best in college football.
Yeah, and at a place like this, it's similar to the NFL. The quarterback and the head coach are tied together. That's how it goes. I pray that they have a great relationship, and they're willing to work through some of the tough times. And I think Coach Rule's experience will help a lot in that matter. But the pressure, I'd say ignorance is bliss. I think for a freshman, I think he'll be all right. You know what I mean? I think he'll go in there and just go guns a-blazing and light it up. I really do. I think the years following might be a little bit tougher. At least that's somewhat of my experience. Expectations rise. I think expectations are high, sure. But once there's some success, those expectations go a lot higher. And you don't start winning games, I think that's when the pressure starts. It's not at the beginning of the year. I think it's when things go downhill. How are you going to respond? And, you got to make sure not only your response is a certain way, but the people around you and everybody in the building is acting in one, at least as best as possible. And I think that matters a lot. It matters a lot for Dylan. It matters a lot, obviously, on if Nebraska wins more games,
For sure.
So I guess we come back to, you partially answered the question I'm about to ask. Coming into Nebraska, I mean, you're a kid. As you move forward, it harder to deal with the pressure internally, like from yourself about, wanting to be better, or the pressure from the fans and the program? And kind of how did you deal with that to continue to produce, good results?
For sure. Well, part of the reason I wanted to come to Nebraska was that responsibility. You don't necessarily know all that that entails, but if I could do it again, I'd do it again in a heartbeat, because I want that challenge. That's what you want as a competitor, as someone who wants to win and achieve great things. You want those challenges, and you want that pressure in a way. There's all those cliches out there about pressure and how it's a privilege, it makes diamonds and all this stuff. At the end of the day, you just gotta grit your way through it. You know what I mean? You got to go show up and control what you can. And for me, that's really all I tried to do. And it wasn't necessarily easy. I wouldn't say it was ever from the fans. Like I said, I wanted that challenge. And so there was a really high standard for myself, and when we fell short of that, and when I fell short of it, that hurt. It hurt me. It felt like more than anybody. Because it felt like I let people down, and you let all these people down that really truly care about the team. So that's where it got tough for me, when I wasn't meeting my own standard, and I knew it wasn't good enough. So
I feel like we're talking just so about such sad times at Nebraska. Adrian, can you tell us what your favorite moment was at Nebraska? Do you have your most memorable moment or your favorite thing that happened at Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. I'd say freshman year, first win against Minnesota. That was a ton of fun. Michigan State in the snow, freshman year, 9-6. My roommate.
Oh, love it.
Gritty
That
game.
was a great game.
What a great game that was. Honestly, it was. My roommate Barrett Pickering at the time, he made all the field goals and stuff. So that was a really fun team. A lot of great upperclassmen a part of that team. I'd say my senior year, the night game, it was one of the only night games I got to play in at Nebraska, and the atmosphere against Michigan was just insane. It was awesome going into the fourth quarter, the fire show, all of it, and just us being all hyped, excited, confident. Michigan obviously feeling that way too, and knowing we don't have to back down from these guys. You know what I mean? We're just as good as these guys. So that was fun. Just that feeling. I'd say those two are strong. I would not pick COVID at all. Nothing about the COVID year.
Brutal.
Nothing about that year. Sophomore year, probably nothing about that year either, to be honest with you.
Somebody that doesn't get highlighted as often as I think they should is Divine Ozigbo. I want to know your relationship with Divine and just the progress that he made from the year. What was it? Was it
2017
to 2018 was the big jump for him, where he just started balling out. So I just want to know a little bit more about him.
Well, Divine's loved and if you ask any Husker that played with Divine during Divine's era, loves Divine. And I'm one of those guys too. Divine's still in the NFL. I mean, he's still playing for a reason. The guy can play. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see, because even when I was there in the spring, there was a red and a white team, which was the first and second team, and then the third and fourth team. He was on the third and fourth team for the spring game in his senior year.
Mm-hmm.
Mo Washington, man, what a talent.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of on and off. I can't remember who. Oh, Greg Bell. Yeah, that's right. Greg Bell.
He was there.
Greg Bell, and he kind of was falling off. I think he ended up leaving after 4 games.
Yep.
And Divine was just the steady hand who kept showing up that everybody loves, and balled out. And then I was actually with him in Detroit when I was with the Lions. We were both in camp with Detroit and got to play together a little bit. I think I might have handed it off to him one time in a preseason game. So got the connection one last time with him.
There you go. Nice.
Divine is one of those running backs. You watch him and you compare him from 2017 to 2018. And especially that Minnesota game where he had 4 runs of 50 yards. It's yo, where did that come from? The dude gained an extra freaking, or I should say he cut off an extra second off his 40. Who is this guy?
Yeah, he tapped into another gear. He was different that stretch. And I think he was probably just playing like, hey, this might be my last time playing ball, and I'm going to give it everything I have, and it paid off for him. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, he's still kicking. He's still playing in the league.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
So we talk about routinely, as we talk about Divino Zigbo and just being a dog, we talk about all the time about the Adrian Martinez work ethic. Like there's no quit in you. I'm sure it'll be tough, but like, give me, one or two guys that you feel like had on that Husker roster that had that same kind of work ethic that you knew, like, no matter what we were going to do, no matter what situation we were in, they weren't going to quit.
Who's the dogs? Tell us who the dogs were.
Who were the dogs? Yeah, I like that. I think obviously Cam Jurgens is one of those guys.
Oh yeah,
Dog.
Sure.
In the weight room, his mentality, obviously his skill. I mean, top level guy. Just a dog. I think Cam Taylor-Britt, man, he would get after guys, and he would do it consistently. And in the game, there wasn't a guy. It didn't matter who lined up. It could be prime Randy Moss that lined up out there.
Whoa,
against
hold
Cam
on.
Taylor.
Hold on.
Hey,
Randy.
it didn't matter.
Don't matter.
And I'm saying Cam would have the confidence and the mindset that he was going to lock this guy down. I wasn't. Trust me. I wasn't going to take it too far. No, I really think Luke Reimer. I thought he really had it. I think Luke Gifford had it. If I'm just thinking of all the guys I've played with, I mean, there's a lot, but I'll stick with that crew of guys as guys that if you looked at them in the middle of a game, they're going to be with you. They weren't going to look away. They weren't going to blink.
Yeah, I don't think there's any mistake that, three of those guys you named. CTB, Cam Jurgens, and Luke Gifford. NFL. I don't think it's any mistake there.
I mean, he's literally Jason Kelsey's replacement at center for the Eagles. Like that.
Yeah.
The dude is, and he was recruited as a tight end. If you want to talk about a dog,
Insane.
the dude was a tight end and became. You want to say one thing that Scott Frost did perfectly? He made Cam Jurgens a center.
You saw that,
and he called him Remington right off the bat, and everybody was like, "Whoa!
Yeah, chill
out." And this dude is replacing Jason Kelsey, who's a Hall of Fame center. Come on now.
Yeah,
I will go down. I'll go on the books right now. Cam Jurgens is the best young center in the NFL. That is a fact.
Okay. I mean, he hasn't really played center yet, but we'll see. I mean, he played guard last year.
Yeah.
I'll stamp that take. I'll stamp it.
Stamp that shit. Bang. Like Cam Jurgens, dog. You put him wherever you want him. It doesn't matter.
Hey, and he's kind of a dog on the golf course too. Didn't his squad win at the Team Jack Foundation event? That's where it
was Janovich. It was
yeah.
NFL. That's all right.
How'd you golf that day, Adrian?
I did pretty well. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a good day. I was a little lucky. We had a guy on our squad who played at Midland, who just was a stick. You know what I mean? Like he carried us up.
You guys were just like just dropping dimes, and we're just up here. We got a guy with a broken foot or a broken ankle. We've got who was the player we played with?
Come on,
defensive lineman. Gosh darn it!
No,
he's never picked up a golf club before.
You finished second.
Did he not come up with his own clubs?
Pierre Allen. He had no clubs.
No clubs.
He golfed with us. My golf game is just not good. And Kyle carried us all day. And then behind you guys are behind us and just freaking on the green way before we got on the green. Like,
hey, I will say this though. Adrian did have to run out onto our fairway and stop our play to come grab his golf ball. He's like, sorry about that, fellas. We're like, oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think you guys were like, hit it from there. Yeah. I'm like, no, we're going to take the one in the fairway, the right fairway.
Yeah.
Adrian, hear me out. Next year, when you're competing for an NFL MVP, we're going to put together an NBNR golf tournament. You come play just behind us, and I'll promise you won't have to wait like you had to wait for these guys.
Yeah, right.
If they put me on that squad, you're not going to have to wait like you had to wait for them.
I'd love to see it. You can count me in. I mean, shoot, we were just watching them. Something was funny. I think so. We started on hole 4. They must start on hole 5. I think about hole 8. We had somebody come by, ask us how it was going. I was like, we're doing well, but I know one thing for certain. We're doing way better than those guys. Right at you guys.
Yes, that was us. We finished dead last, but we had a great day. It was a great day.
You were tied for last from what I saw.
Yeah, we were tied for last.
So technically second to last.
it was fine. It was a good day, and anything we can do with Team Jack, we're down to do. So,
Right.
and that, if that's
100%.
hacking up a private golf course, hey, give me the sticks.
100%. It was a great event. Team Jack does it right. They do.
Yep. You guys got to think of the bigger picture. It's not about the golf, really.
Trust me, they weren't thinking about golf.
No, they weren't. As we kind of start to wrap this thing up here, we did have one listener who had a question for you, and I'm gonna change it up just a little bit because the original question was playing for Nebraska. What was the one team that you just like emotionally hated to go up against? Like you disliked them, but then I wanted to switch it up and say like, which team did you hate to go up against because they were going to game plan you extra well?
So I would say the first part, emotionally, I hated Purdue. I hated West Lafayette. Couldn't stand them. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
What's up with
That is honestly like the one team that I
Off the wall, right? Yeah, you think, yeah.
Can you dive deeper into why it was Purdue?
It's the train whistle. It's got to be.
Purdue train whistle, the Boilermaker, their wacky mascot, these freaking dudes in pajamas in the stands. I don't know. Astronauts go there. The black bathrooms when you go to their team hotel. All of it. I can't stand all of it. When we played there, either sophomore or junior year, Drew Brees was at the game. We were whooping their butts, and he gives them the halftime speech of a lifetime, like only Drew Brees can. They come out and they kick our butts in the second half, and we lose. Haven't been able to stand them since. The second team there, Northwestern. I actually played with a guy. Who went to Northwestern when we were playing them, and he said, when we game plan against you guys, we told our D linemen not to rush. They didn't even rush. They just sat there.
Is it because you would run?
Made it very tough. What's that?
Is it because they knew you would run circles around them?
Because they knew it. That was the easiest way to stop my scrambling. Was just like, don't even rush.
Yeah.
And it was a trip. And they had dudes who were just locked in, very smart, obviously, Northwestern. They'd find a way to win. And I mean, a couple of the years I was there, they won the Big Ten on our side. So they were solid.
Yeah. They were just always just like, we do this preseason previews and like, how many wins are we going to get? And it's every time you look at Northwestern, you're like, this could be either way. Like they were always just a thorn in the sides of Nebraska. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Well, and you want to talk about annoying the Wildcat screech. Oh my God.
And who else does that? K-State.
Yeah. Oh, you're like, I like that.
I like it now.
Well, I mean, to be fair, when I was on the field, I never really heard it. But going against certain teams, like Northwestern, it's the worst. You're sitting on the sideline, you see their offense, and you just hear that. Rah, rah. You're like, okay. This sucks.
Hold on, you didn't really sell that to
rah, rah, rah. Yeah, no.
All right, this might be one of the last questions, Adrian, and we'll get you out of here so you can go hang out in the hotel tonight. It's Big Ten Media Days week. Do you have any memorable moments from Big Ten Media Days? Do you miss talking to the media? Get into that a little bit.
Hell no.
Sure. Not really. I don't really miss it. But we went to Chicago, and it was my first time, I think, really being able to walk around the city, and it's a beautiful place. Loved it. Got to eat at some famous restaurant. I can't remember what it was called, but there are, pictures of celebrities on the wall all over. A place where they brought out the meat and like showed it to you first, and then went and made it and brought it back. Got to see the bean and all that. So that was pretty cool. And then at that same event, they made me throw a football across the entire dining hall. So like, this is the way it worked. There was like Nate Stanley, there was some other Big Ten quarterback there, and just big dining room, and had all I don't really understand who was all there. But it was huge, like kind of like a big fundraiser looking event. And you had to buy raffles, right? Everyone in the audience bought raffle tickets or whatever. And then they'd pull one out and they'd be like 162. Okay. So Nate Stanley's up, the Iowa quarterback. 162 is like 5 feet in front of us, and we're in full on suits. So he gets his football and he throws it like 5 feet. Like, okay, cool concept, whatever. They do it. Roll mine. It's like 312, and it's like in the back right of the room, all the way in the back right. And I'm in my suit, and I'm like, what am I about to like? I need to warm up for this. You know what I mean? Like, I got to throw this ball over there. So I just launch it, like, screw it. Like, we'll see what happens. There are like 70-year-old women in the audience. There are just grandpas. There's not a receiver waiting over there.
Where's this going? I gotta hear the end of this.
Balls flying in the air, and I'm like, oh no, balls flying in the air. It just smacks the table. No, the guy doesn't catch it. It wasn't. I'll be honest. I didn't dot him. I didn't put it right on him, but he could have made a play. But like I said, there weren't people there ready to make plays. So it just. And this is in front of this whole dining room. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I thought I was going to get someone right in front of me. I didn't know I was going to have to throw it 100 feet across a ballroom with all these people.
There's no Randy Moss.
Most memorable media day.
I think you got to get over there and you just scream at whoever you were throwing to. He's like, you got to go to the ball. Go to the ball. What are you doing?
You're supposed to cut in.
Come back to the ball.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you know what? I'll be honest. I did not expect that story coming from. You would think with Big Ten Media Days, it's like all freaking prim and proper and just.
I don't think they did that again after that whole deal. So
they're like, "Yep, you ruined it for everybody, Adrian. You ruined it for everybody."
Yeah, I'm good. I took the bullet because, man, that was a bad setup.
I got to ask you. I'm hearing a lot of dings on your end. Is that a Robert Saleh texting you right now?
Yeah, he's like, keep it down, guy.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, keep it classy. I do just want to give credit to, that was Jake Albrecht that asked that question. I just want to make sure I acknowledge him.
Yeah.
To put you on the spot, Kyle. Yeah. Have you seen any cool questions from our viewers, or are we? I'll say like the most recent one. We've actually had a lot. We've got 140 people in here right now. The last one that's in here is pretty cool. Zach Kremlicek. He says, my brother-in-law said he met Adrian on his flight on Monday in Seattle, and he's 11 years old. And so he obviously knew who you were. And he says, I don't know if he remembers him or not. But I mean, if we want to go back to like the whole legacy thing, I mean, if 11-year-olds who probably weren't even really old enough to totally understand exactly what's going on, at least this 11-year-old knew exactly who you were and wanted to meet you. So
yeah,
fans. Yeah.
It's pretty damn cool. And that's one thing that's been awesome from my end is after all of that, I've been able to come back to Nebraska and feel truly embraced. Mm-hmm. Like, people come to me and thank me for my time in Nebraska, and I don't feel like I deserve it, but people make me feel that way. They do, which means a lot to me. And I think it speaks volumes to Nebraska, to, anybody that's a Husker, anybody that maybe didn't go to the school, but is still a Husker. And why this place deserves to be, one of the best, deserves a chance to be a winner, in football. So I think it'll happen.
I think that's the most beautiful place to leave it. Adrian Martinez, I hope, in less than a year, we're out here, us four, we're going to buy some number 71 Adrian Martinez NFL jersey. Yeah. That's what I'm here for, baby. Hopefully we see you on a squad here, and we want to wish you luck tomorrow in your workout.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Appreciate you making time, and go Big Red, right? Go Big Red.
Big Red.
All right, thank you, Adrian.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That was fun. That's crazy. Crazy. One of the biggest interviews that we have had on NBNR. Yeah, I think people always ask us like who's the most like notable person you've had on, and it's hard to pick.
It's so hard to pick.
We've had a lot.
Dude, we've had literally people from the freaking 70s to the 80s to the 90s. Like, we've had people from every freaking era of college. Yeah.
Johnny the Jet.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, we've had them from every era of Nebraska football, and to finally get like QB1. Like, we had Jamal Lord on. That's the only other quarterback we've ever had on this podcast. But to get like a true QB1 that just was an absolute warrior for the program was just freaking awesome. And so if you joined this interview late, make sure you go back and watch that, because Adrian's had some really cool things. And I mean, he's literally the exact same person who we thought he was. Like,
Yeah.
to a T.
I 100% agree. My man is humble. He knows what he did. He knows what he had. And I don't think he's, presenting it any way that his time at Nebraska was a bad thing. It helped him grow. He is where he is now. That was incredible.
And I don't want to say that we glazed him too much. I mean, there was some glazing,
a little bit.
But then again, it's just.
I mean, he did a lot of the glazing.
Yeah,
like literally, that's why I had to throw a change. I'm like, dude, you're talking so down on everything you did at Nebraska. I was like, can we talk about something good? Because the dude he battled through injuries. He was the face. He was literally the fall guy for a lot of things. A lot of things that we found out later on, he's crazy.
He's the prime example of if you are trying to be a quarterback at a major college program and you are afraid of scrutiny, even if you don't deserve it. You don't come to a place like Nebraska if you are afraid of attention and scrutiny. And
so what Matt Rule just said literally 2 days or yesterday, literally said, he's like, you come to Nebraska because you want to compete against, you want to play in the Coliseum, you want to play against the big teams in college football. That's what he did.
What was the quote he kept saying on McAfee? Eating what you kill. Right?
Yeah.
You eat what you kill, right? You got to beat these good teams if you're trying to be a good team. But it's not just at Nebraska. It's any place that cares about football. Again, people. Yeah, just Dylan Raiola, for instance. What if he chose Georgia? I guess nobody's going to critique him there, right?
Right.
Everything's going to go swimmingly in Athens, Georgia, if he struggles.
Yeah.
Any place that cares, dude.
Because Georgia has no expectations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think I thought it was really cool him talking about his legacy is still building and all that stuff, right? And
yeah, that was a good answer.
That was an awesome answer.
From our eyes, it's dude, our legacy of Adrian Martinez lasted 3 years at Nebraska.
4 years.
4 years. 4 years.
4 years at
4 years at Nebraska. And you look back on it, and you've got some 11-year-old in a Seattle airport on an airplane, wanting to talk to Adrian, meet Adrian, and he said it the best. I'm glad that I'm able to come back to Nebraska after everything that had happened, all the controversy, all the losses, how I guess negatively everybody looked at him. And just the program in general at the time, and him being able to come back, it says a lot about his character and his legacy at Nebraska.
And I think it's because what happened after Nebraska. It really is. He went to Kansas State. We saw the player that he could be. He went to the UFL. We saw the player that he could be. That freshman Adrian, he turned into freshman Adrian again once he left this program. And then when we had another year without him, that fifth year when he was at Kansas State and we had Casey Thompson, we found out, wow, maybe it isn't the quarterback, right? Maybe
there's other things going on.
Maybe there is other things going on. So I think it was just a perfect breakup that needed to happen on both sides. And I think he agrees with that. It's a mutual parting of ways, and it benefited both parties where it helped fans realize, holy shit, we've got a lot more issues than just the quarterback.
Yeah, it really solidified changes need to be made.
Yes.
Bigger
systemic
ones.
Systemic.
Yes. You were gonna.
I guess I was gonna go into that about. I don't think the love of Adrian was ever in question. I do agree with your point about when Adrian goes to K-State and we get Casey Thompson. People realized what they had, and then what they now have. I don't know that I would say that Adrian was never not loved. And I don't think that's what you were saying.
No, I don't think it was
we just
that.
get emotional.
I don't think it was that he wasn't loved. I think it was just
he was underappreciated.
I think he was underappreciated. I think it opened eyes to what else was going on in the program, because after he left, we got the Whipple, we got the Casey, we got all that stuff that happened after Adrian left. And then people realized that there was a common denominator, and it wasn't Adrian Martinez.
And yeah, I think we can say that while also acknowledging, of course, the one game that always comes to mind is the Michigan game.
Yeah.
Where, yes, it would have been really cool if the ref blew the whistle early. That would have been awesome. By the way, still would not have guaranteed anything, by the way. Yeah. But at the end of the day, And of course, he said it as well. Like, yeah, I wish the whistle would have blown. But at the end of the day, I got to hold on to the ball. And that's what we were saying too. Hold on to the ball. So, yeah, this isn't to say like he's just completely innocent of everything, right? He made mistakes and all that.
And he's the first one to say that.
But then again, shit trickles downhill. And he kind of got into it with Kleiman a little bit. How everyone on Kleiman's roster knew where they were, communication constantly. I don't know if he was trying to insinuate if Frost wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, you asked him, but what's the difference between the two? And he goes, well, I'll talk about Kleiman. And he goes, he had great organization. Everybody knew where they stood.
Yeah.
He started listing off a lot of really good things about Kleiman. Yeah.
Read between the lines.
I mean, Adrian's a he's a first class person. He's not going to go in and dog his former coach. So
I want to jump to that Michigan game for just 1 second, where you talk about you wish a whistle had been blown just a little bit sooner. I would point out Adrian Martinez is the reason we're talking about a whistle.
To begin with,
that game should not have been a game where we're talking about, if the whistle was blown a couple seconds prior. Adrian Martinez is the reason for that.
If we were in the game in the first place, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fair.
He is the reason.
Yeah. I think we'll just close this out by saying whether it's the Seattle Seahawks, whether it's the New York Jets,
Indianapolis Colts
in their little stupid dome,
whether it's the Russian Rivalries,
whatever it might be,
Russian Vladimir Putin's playing in their gulag. Whoever picks Adrian Martinez is getting a first-class human. The backup quarterback is an important position.
Who said backup?
I mean, I think that's where you start. But if Adrian's told anybody anything, it's that he's a fucking dog.
Who's
and he's gonna grind.
Is it still Zach Wilson? No. Who is it now? I'm sorry.
At the Jets?
The Jets is
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yes, they've got Aaron Rodgers.
Sorry, I forgot that guy that didn't play last year.
And then Tyrod Taylor is the backup. And then after that, they just got Jordan Travis.
So realistically, if you go to the Jets, you're coming in as a first stringer.
So what you're saying? Well, Jordan Travis ain't gonna be ready.
Aaron Rodgers' body's broken.
Aaron Rodgers isn't focused on football.
50 years old.
Hey, we'll just
you
cut
go
out
to the
that.
Jets, you're starting.
QB1 in New Jersey, Adrian Martinez.
Hey, we are a Nebraska football podcast, okay?
Yes.
Not a New York Jets podcast.
Thank God.
Or an Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers
Dude,
ayahuasca.
We deal with enough pain. We don't need to be Jets fans as well.
G-E-T-S. P-A-I-N. Pain. All right. Anything else you guys want to say? Mike's got to go to his fucking volleyball.
I do have to go play a little
Jesus
sand volleyball.
Christ.
It's a fucking 100 degrees out.
Did you know Mike's an athlete and he has season tickets?
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, he's a badass, bro.
Who would have thunk?
Okay. What do you say we sign off?
Let's do it.
I'm one of your hosts, Jared Hall,
Mike Delaware,
Connor Cadillac,
Kyle Byers,
and Adrian Martinez. As always, beat UTEP and GBR.